Evening, my friends. I am so excited and I'm grateful to welcome you to The Knowing Show. I'm your host, Christine Marie. Tonight, we are diving into a transformation story of Simone Lüthi, who really created an incredible professional career working at the highest level as Chief Strategy Officer for JPMorgan Bank, some of the multi-billion-dollar enterprises. And you did this for 25 years, incredibly successful, but then had a really awful health crisis that just completely changed the trajectory of your life. And on the heels of that, the transformation that's come from, it's like the dark night of the soul and the transformation that comes from that. And so we're going to be leaning into that. But really, in addition to that, we're talking about how you and I both can take advantage of not only our stories, but ultimately the redemption on the other side of that. How can we leverage the pain that we've experienced, turning that into a purpose through branding? And really through the ultimate process of what does it really take to show up to ensure that we can serve well, because that's the goal. So much of this, the point of this is service, but we need to actually know how to leverage the internet, like some of those practical things. And so, Simone, I'm so super excited. This is the first time we've done this where we're talking about, the internal transformation that we'll go through. How do we land upon this new purpose in our lives, but also what do we do to build the brand to support that? So I'm very excited to do this in real time with you. Thank you for joining tonight.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I mean, the way that we met even is, divinely orchestrated. I mean, I love the fact that we're sitting here and we're talking about some really important work. And I hope that I just can lead some encouragement for anyone that's out there, talking about my story and really kind of phoenix from the ashes, I would call it. My tattoo as well, in case you're interested, is the phoenix.
I love that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, there's more stuff that, it's like synchronicities galore. But no, just thank you for having me and for going through with this. I'm so stoked about it.
I'm so excited and already so friends who are watching, I already told Simone that we have some pretty active chat, and I already see Wayne and Bradley and DJ. Guys, I'm super excited for this conversation tonight. I really welcome you guys to be engaged and ask questions. This is a different forum. We've never done this before. So ask questions of Simone, ask questions of me, and we're gonna have an interactive conversation. So I'm excited. Before we dive into anything kind of on the practical side to take real action as a result of this, I'd really love to hear, Simone, not many people are working at that level of, leading multi-billion enterprises. So can you tell us, what happened? You were at that place for multiple years, but it wasn't just that your career shifted. It sounds like you shifted as well with the health crisis.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I may take just a quick step because it's going to be important as we kind of come full circle in this. I believe that we have guideposts in life, and I call it in my book the existential guideposts. And if you think about my life, I had my first near-death experiences with 3 years old. I've got a drunk driving accident when I was 10, when my car that my dad drove got hit. I had a motorcycle accident at 18. I had an autoimmune disease at 46 that, basically got me bedridden. And then I had cancer in the middle of a pandemic. So,
Wow.
I kind of lived a crazy life, if you will. And why I'm sharing this is I don't think I got to the top necessarily because it was my soul plan. I got to the top because my parents expected me to. So my parents, World War II generation, were very keen on that it was more important what was on your title. So, your business card. My mom even proudly taped all of our business cards on the fridge. And I think I had a drive early on in life that I needed to get to the top. And have always been in management. Even, I was born in Switzerland and had a good career there, but then really lived the American dream. If you think about it, I started as a call center agent in the late 90s. And one of the leadership advices that I got from our CEO was like, you know what, if you want to get ahead in life or ahead in this company, you got to take a job that nobody else wants. And I moved to Alaska with my very young family at the time because nobody wanted to move in Alaska in the middle of winter. But that really kind of that trajectory of like, okay, I got to go to the next level, the next level, the next level, the next level. So that got me to the very top. So correct, I was a chief strategy officer for JPMorgan. I was head of Chase Travel. I built this asset from a 2 billion kind of point redemption engine into a $10 billion in sales. And I had a very, very succinct career in all sense and purposes. Man, like, you know, when you get to the pinnacle, you made it. You know, I've had the Ferrari, I've had, a high six-figure salary, I've had a nice house, but I was not living my purpose. I did what was expected of me, but I wasn't actually focusing on my heart. I wasn't focusing on my soul. I wasn't focusing on what got me out. So autoimmune was the first thing that got me out of a marriage that just wasn't nourishing. It was almost like it never felt, you know, I could be myself, not because she was a bad person, but we were completely different people. We were completely different, or we had a completely different way of thinking about what a marriage should be and what a partnership should be and what a family should be. And when you barely get out of bed and you kind of start going, okay, what's happening here? I started to in a rabbit hole of like, okay, why am I sick? And let's see how much time we've got. I wrote it all down in my book for those that are interested, but it was a crazy story of, again, synergies or miracles, or people started showing up in my life. Guideposts started to happen, synchronicities that were pointing me back to who I was and who I am in the first place. And then you add cancer on top. That was the wake-up call. Through the kitchen sink at it. You know, I was going to doctors in Germany, had chemo, went back, and I had a moment that was in early 2021. I thought I was in remission. I felt a lump in my throat. Sunday morning was playing my favorite Yo-Yo Ma rendition of Bach. Felt something, grabbed a butter knife and my iPhone flashlight and looked in the back of my throat. And here it was again, the lump that I thought was gone. And I knew at that moment, it's time to make radical changes. And I walked away from a career that was, again, providing me a lavish lifestyle, an amazing accomplishment. But I knew I had to listen to what my body was telling me. I knew if I didn't do this, I would be dead in a couple of years. And here we are, 6 years later in complete remission. And I have completely turned my life into this soul purpose. And you can see I'm getting a little choked up, because when you get up, there's no more this Monday morning, you know, man, I don't want to go to work. And oh my gosh, I'm looking for Friday. Every day for me is just a gift. And I have dedicated my life now to really leaning into, especially in the executive suite, of making people aware of what chronic stress can do to the body, the soul, to your environment, to your family, who you are as a person, and have developed this methodology now called Transmutation Design that I teach and lead other people that have been in this situation or find themselves right in a similar, man, like, I feel the same way. There's a way out, and it's about rewriting your story and upgrading your operating system, I guess, right?
Yeah. I love the upgrading your operating system. That's so good. I would love to hear, Wayne says, congratulations. And Bradley says, congratulations, God is good. I love that. I would love to hear, you started, you got out of, you kind of went through this time with the autoimmune disease where so much of your life was really kind of being dismantled, your marriage dismantled, your health in so many ways. But then in that time, you also started getting alignment and miracles started coming. And so then you got cancer. So I'm curious, it's like everything's kind of starting to look bright and everything's starting to look up. And it's like, I'm on the right track. And then you get the cancer diagnosis. It's like, so I would love to know, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a WTF moment, right? Of like, here we go again. But I did always feel like, why is this happening for me, not to me? I'm not a negative person. I'm not a, oh my gosh, here we go again. But what did happen with the autoimmune, I found help, right? So basically I had a doctor here in Phoenix, Now I have to say thank you, doc, because they were going to put me on malaria medication. Because he's like, I don't know what's making you sick, but this medication is proven to work in a lot of rheumatoid things. And deep inside, I knew this was not the prescription I was going to file, and a lot of things happen as a result of it. But I wanted to get down to the what's making me sick in the first place. And I ended up in a retreat in Germany, and they ran the right tests and were like, oh, you've got a heavy metal toxicity, you've got environmental toxins in your body, you have food allergies. So once I started to clean and clear my system and went through a pretty severe detox, again, I'm not taking anything. Like, you're looking at a guy, there's no medication, no nothing. I take some supplements, but nothing else. So I thought I healed myself, right? And that was also the beginning of my studying with a bunch of indigenous healers and looking at healing from slightly different places than just Western medicine. And I went back into my career. I actually then, 2 years later, got this fabulous job offer, grateful for the opportunity at JPMorgan. I was at Amex before, and took it because I thought, I'm healed. My spirituality is great. Everything is good. I'm basically on a trajectory. And so the cancer really kind of knocked me off my high horse of saying, oh, now you're, an energy healer and a corporate exec, and you can combine both of those in one, because I still wasn't actually doing the things that I meant to be doing, right? So it's hard to go through it. Cancer diagnosis, man, for those of you listening, it sucks. It's definitely, pulls the rug from underneath. But I say something often, and it's worth repeating. I could heal myself, and so can you. I believe it's an attitude problem. It's an environment problem. It's a way of actually helping your nervous system start to be regulated. You think about it, we're under constant stress. And now the rise of AI that's coming in, like, everybody's smarter than you. And there's some exciting things with AI, but it also brings up a lot of stress. There's job security. How am I going to enter this? And my sort of rabbit hole that I went under is, you think about this for a moment. We are running a Stone Age nervous system in a 21st century super intelligent world. So you never really know, is it a tiger or a Tuesday? It's one of my favorite sayings these days, tiger or Tuesday.
Wait, can you unpack that? I think that's such a brilliant concept. And to be honest, it took me a moment. So the running say that whole thing again, if you will.
Yeah, so we're running a Stone Age nervous system in a super intelligent world. And what I mean by that is, our bodies are still in fight or flight, right? We don't know whether we're going to be eaten by a tiger that's lurking around the tree, or whether it's just a regular day in the life of, right? And so we are trained, because this is biology at the end of the day, of like, and what's happening, and you can measure this. When we have a stressful event, whether that's in your personal life or at work, you go directly into adrenaline, right? Because wake up, danger. Then your cortisol steps in, because you have to now, start to regulate. And then you can actually see that your glucose goes up, because you got to feed the, like, ready to fight, because you're about to get eaten by a tiger. And what I found, what's really interesting, is that there is no difference between a stressful situation at work, or an argument you have, or really dangerous, like you just got hit by a car or something like this. The biology can't differentiate between the two scenarios. It's all about survival. So think about this for a moment. When you run under chronic stress, whether that's, in my case, a marriage that just we weren't seeing eye to eye. I never knew, was this going to be a movie night or a fight night? Right? So you're constantly elevated in terms of your nervous system. And then you've got a work that is constant pressure to deliver, right? For those of you in corporate America, every day, every month, every quarter, you have goals to meet. And if you don't meet them, you have some kind of accountability somewhere, right? So that is what I'm trying to point out, that we do need a system and a methodology. And I believe I have found it going through all of this to actually teach people to regulate, to teach people how to survive and thrive in this new world we're in, because our bodies haven't upgraded and they are what they are. But I do believe, hence my operating system comment, I do believe that we can install a new operating system, a human operating system on top to help us thrive and survive.
I love this. And man, there's so many directions. Okay, so let's do this. I am actually going to, I told Simone before this that I actually have not visited his website because I wanted to do this in real time with y'all. So I am going to literally share my screen, pull up his website, and also take a look at his LinkedIn. We'll see how much time we have. But Simone, I am going to share my screen and we're going to look at this together. And I am going to, and y'all, Simone, if you're okay with it, let's get the audience's perspective here on the website. All right, so now it adjusted. So y'all who are watching, we are doing a real life audit because, you know, how to build a brand in real time. That's the title of our conversation tonight, but we're also obviously learning from Simone while we go, which is such a blessing. You know, what a cool opportunity. So I would love to hear people's feedback from first blush looking at this. We are a little bit delayed in terms of, I'll get the comments and then I'll talk and then I'll see them in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is, guys, post your comments. What I will say first, I love how much brand authority you've got. Like, you've got a lot of authority already in terms of these logos. So that's number one. And I'm actually going to navigate away from this. I'm just going to be on the website. So I love all the logos. I love this picture of you. It's very, there's a couple of things about this picture. One, and I'm going to decline this. So one, I love that I get to see a little bit of your personality in this photo. You're relaxed. You don't have your sleeves rolled all the way down. You have a vest or some kind of shirt that is allowing for it to be kind of layered. And that alone adds a layer of, like, there's still a collar there that adds the professional, but it's not so overly done where it looks too polished and too uniform. So you look very, very approachable. And with the tattoo being visible, there's something there where you feel actually like there's a little bit of a hint of, like, oh, I'm curious. Like, this person looks interesting. You know, you're not just a normal guy with his arms folded. It's like there's clearly a story here. So I like all of that. And for me then, okay, now I'm also going to say, looking at this, I have no idea what you do. So there's no line about you. There's no words about your name. The thing I will say, you know, sometimes we'll go in the direction of, like, having your name be the website, or you've got obviously the Rocket Shaman. And so what I'd be curious about, my very first question for you would be, where do you want to take this? What's your vision for the company, for the brand?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, right? I think I found myself telling my story through my book. And I keep coming back to that I'm the product and I'm my message. And I think I have, to some degree, overcomplicated my message a little bit. And I find I need to come back to the basic. I need to bring back the story and connect with other execs on this chronic stress, right? And I know my website is not set up. I think I'm trying to do too much in too many things, but that's a good call out in terms of, like, what's the hook? What's the, you know, what am I actually all about?
Yeah.
More front and center.
I love that you said bringing in your personal story, because really that's what people resonate with. You know, they connect on the emotional level. Now they're looking intellectual. This is why I like the Knowing Show, because we talk about the different parts of us, you know, the intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual, physical intelligence. You know, your body was keeping the score and telling you, get out of this career. And so much of intellectually, I'm looking at those logos. Emotionally, I'm looking at the entire feel and vibe that I'm getting from just this picture. But then also, if you've got the words there, then I get to feel more connected to you. Then, you know, that's when it really kind of all gets to work in concert together. because that's the brand. So the brand, the definition of a strong brand, and I actually learned this before I even started my own business. A strong brand sets the expectation for the experience someone is going to have with you, and then over delivers with like delight, and ideally even with some surprise there. But the biggest thing about this whole aspect is it's setting not just the expectation, but an emotional expectation, because people buy off of emotions. Yep. So in terms of the copy for the website, we want to say, I'm going to take you from A to B, or you can even say my experience, but really you're the guide. So to your point, to use the word shaman, like you're speaking from your experience, you've gone through this transformation. And also it's, I'm going to teach you how to go from A to B, from my dark night of the soul, from my experience, I've self-healed, etc. So I love the idea of bringing in your story. Frankly, I think even having my story somewhere could be really profound.
Yeah, that's great. And honestly, I bring it back again. This website has been kind of a labor of love as I was also evolving in my message. And the book itself is called Becoming the Rocket Shaman: Lessons in Healing Chronic Illness, Emotional Pain, and Burnout When Nothing Else Works. And perhaps that subtitle needs to come more front and center, because that's what I do, right? And especially, I was thinking about walking away from corporate because it burned me out and it nearly killed me. But it felt a bit like a cop-out. So if I'm leaving, that's the very people that actually, or the very audience I feel like I'm speaking to the most. So food for thought. I'm curious what you think about, having that subtitle, closer somewhere.
I really like that. And I mean, there's the subtitle, and then there's like the 5-word transformation aspect. So I think just being able to see all of that would be important. And I know that we're only looking at your header. I like looking at the header and really camping out here, because a lot of people, this is all you get. Like this is literally what you get unless they know a lot about you beforehand. So from just reading some feedback. So DJ says the trademarks for the networks are turn off for him. So that's good feedback. What I would say is I would actually have these just below here, like right at the bar where it says let's chat, right along there. So maybe they're even, your picture actually still shines through perhaps, and they're just an overlay, like solid color, but like, they're not colorful. Maybe they're white or black. And then you can still see the picture behind you. And then you've got the text up here on the left. Another thing I would say on the navigation, I think that we could probably reduce this by at least 40 to 50%. I think we could cut this in half, because it's taking away a lot of space. The only other, I'm sorry for asking you this again. I just want to get clear. So the Rocket Shaman, I love the concept of that. Can you tell me why does that name hold a lot of meaning for you?
Yeah, it's actually a name my brother gave me jokingly. So I've been studying with a bunch of different shamans and tribal healers and from around the world. And my brother at some point made a comment and said, well, from the moment that Simone said yes, he took off like a rocket, and sort of that rocket shaman was born. And the reason why I picked it, and the book is called, again, Becoming the Rocket Shaman, is because nobody really nobody really remembers Simone Lüthi, right? I'm just a name amongst many. And so I love that it had a bit of a ring to it. It was like, I can remember that. Also knowing that it's probably turning some people off, because the word shaman for some people has a negative connotation. But I picked it intentionally to be a bit edgy, because that I'm both, right? And because I've been told like to be the good boy all my life, and so now I'm coming out with my story, which so I think that's an aspect of it that I like, and that I want to keep. It's more a question of, is it more front and center as a brand? And maybe also important to know, I actually now rename my LLC in the Rocket Shaman Leadership Academy.
Nice.
That's ultimately where I want to lean in more, and it's a unique, take on things. Some people will hate it, some people will love it, some people are neutral on it, but it's me.
So the academy is really where you want to be putting your energy.
Yeah. Everything that I do runs under that. Yeah. Even the book
Perfect.
is published under the Leadership Academy.
Perfect. So these are the main calls to action. Book you to speak, take the assessment, explore executive coaching. What is the number one thing you'd rather have, like most that you want them to do?
For right now, I really want to get my message out. So intuitively, I feel like, doing more speaking engagements is probably where I want to lead. There's money in it, and it's the biggest and fastest way to get the message out, while also selling my book as kind of a secondary piece. Yeah.
Good. I would put this book, Simone to Speak, up here in the right-hand corner. Do they buy your book on the website?
No, it's getting them to Amazon. It's available anywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all the bookstores.
Okay.
So I think right now the book is going to Amazon, but it's really available anywhere.
Awesome. So then it can maybe replace the cart. Cart here. Yeah, I think that would be great. And I would actually even bold that. I would remove the home. See how when I scroll down, and I know that you're probably still working on this, but we'll go ahead and give people, honestly, it looks really, really good. So we're off to a really, really good start. This logo, for the most part, most people know that the logo will take you back. But yeah, that's kind of like the logo is kind of the home button. So I would actually remove this. Yep. And if you want to have a little hamburger, you can put the home button there. But I would remove the cart, remove the home button, and then add book Simone to Speak. And then you've got speaking, work with me, book. Let me go to this page since this is really a big focus. I'm going to go to the speaking page and the book page, and then we'll go back to the home page. Yeah. An author who writes from his own experiences, true stories with passion and purpose. I love that. I'm an open book.
Yeah, you told me, can I ask something I shouldn't ask? I said, no, go for it.
You know what? I actually wonder, I think that this line, if you want to put that somewhere, I would perhaps even put that on the speaking page. Yeah. Because I do think it might detract from the book. And you know what? I would even consider have this section just be right there, right when they click on it. Not
on the homepage or?
No, right here on the, like right there is the header, because we don't want people to have to scroll to get access to why they're there. We want it to be like right there.
Got it.
So I do like this, true stories inspired with passion, but I think you could put that down below when you're kind of describing the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you could just remove this whole section. I like it. It's cute. If you want to put it somewhere, I'd put it maybe elsewhere or down below. If you want to say like, do you have any questions? I'm an open book. I love that. But yeah, there's a lot of action for them to take. And I think the header just gets in the way.
Got it. Yeah.
Cool. And then order your copy now. Love that. I would maybe even make this up here over the quote, just so it's like first thing that they see. And I'm just being high level right now, and then we'll come back to speaking because I really want to serve you on this. Ignite lasting change, keynote speaking, inquire now, the keynote that changes everything. Do you have a speaking reel?
I'm working on it. That's well aware. Actually, looking also for a venue to do a good recording of everything. So
nice. Okay, so let me just hop over to the chat. Armand says, "Awesome book name." So kudos to you. DJ asks a good question. He says, how did you get to your position as a high-level businessman? I think that this is a good question to actually include somewhere in your story, because that could be interesting, Simone. Like actually a lot of people might even want to know that. Is that at all part of your keynote?
I talk more about, my life. I mean, I touched on it, right? So for me right now, I think, being or having been a CSO is more of my credibility.
Right.
But I know that I get asked on podcasts, it's a great question all the time about, hey, talk to us about how you got there, more as a mentor, more as an inspiration. But that's not necessarily why I'm doing keynotes, right? For me, it's really about how to thrive in a role like that. That's where I'm more interested in stay healthy.
So good. You know what I think could be interesting? You've got a couple different keynotes. So if you go on a podcast tour, you could very well say, these are my 3 titles. And I would be curious, what are actually people interested in? It's like how to get there and then how to stay there. Because in one sense, to your point, it's like you wanted to be the shaman and the executive. Obviously, your real calling was in this work. But a lot of people, they actually need to stay there. So that could be an interesting layer, an interesting angle, because that is kind of like a cool, people are leaning into the journey, and now they're much more emotionally bought in by the time you say, and I got so sick and I had to effectively fire myself. You know what I mean? Like, people are now emotionally bought into your story when they hear the rise, then the fall. We need to actually bridge them up in the story of being so like, wait, and then what? And then you come crashing, and then the rise. They don't really care about the descent if we don't actually build up the story to then descend from there and then rise.
Makes sense.
So can you actually answer that question? I think that would be really cool to hear. Like, how did you actually get to that position? And just give us a few, cliff notes.
Well, again, like I mentioned earlier during our recording, it's there was immense pressure from my parents to be somebody, right? I needed to be somebody. And so that's probably been the drive. And I would also say probably my childhood wound was a little bit of like, nobody ever sees me, or I'm not being seen. So I think there was maybe a subconscious way of like being driven to get to the top so that I will be seen. So I would say that's probably been kind of the drive for it. But on the other hand, I'm an innovator. I am a visionary. And I am someone that always sees things could be better, or what could we improve. And so I think early in my career, even as a call center, I started to get in people's businesses around, scheduling, and like, how could we do better scheduling, and why these shifts that we were doing were stupid. And, so I think I always had a vision of like, how can we do things smarter, better, faster. And that really moved me to the top. So think about, as being asked to come in to reimagine Chase Travel, they knew that was one of my main qualities. Granted, I spent 25 years in corporate travel, but actually looking at it from a user's perspective, and how do you actually improve user experience, and good user experience turns into buyers, turns into loyalists, right?
Right.
So I think that's if I were to, I hope I'm answering your question, but like a combination of expectation and drive from my parents, and then I think finding my niche in what am I actually good at in all of this, that got me to where I went. Yeah.
I really, in you saying this, so there's a very interesting, what you said regarding, you kind of brought back that aspect around your parents. And I think that this is so incredibly important, Simone, because if people don't have a why that really is their passion and their purpose, they're fundamentally going to have their health come out and punish them for it. So I actually wonder if at the end of the day, this is just the symptomatic issue. There's actually really, like, if your why, your propelling agent for even being in this role to begin with, why are you doing this in the first place? And so I really like that aspect. What do you think in terms of like, if your why is not aligned, your health will let you know that concept?
Yeah. So actually, my second book that I'm 80% done is called Transmutation Design, and it's really about more of the next leadership methodology. Where I think about Six Sigma was around process improvement. I do feel like we need a new leadership methodology that actually lets you thrive and you be healthy. And what I mean by that is, so my why was not something that I felt; it was a why that was given by me.
Yes, right.
Right, and part of that is important to understand whose story am I actually living.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think about it, from the moment we're born, we're bombarded with expectations and experiences that shape who we become over time. And then for, I would almost argue for all of us, there's stuff that's happening in early childhood. There's stuff that happens in adolescence. There's stuff that happens in our adulthood that turn a little bit into survival mechanisms and or masks that we put on in order for us to survive and thrive. You never really stop and go, is this what I'm doing actually mine? Or am I just doing this because it's expected of me? Or am I doing this because of my life experience that I've had so far?
Yeah.
And so what I teach in these courses is really taking people through, you could call it the hero's journey. It's a 9-step program to go back to, who are you? Why are you wired this way? Where's this information coming from? Moving you a bit in this unknown and wilderness, because if your truth that you're thinking is your truth is not actually your truth, and it's been sort of, given you by whomever, you fill in the dots.
Yeah.
And now you can go and feel like the trajectory where you want to go. That is starting to, get into a little bit more of the new why, that is there. But I love it. It's just more of a, my experience has been, because I lived somebody else's why, it got me sick until I figured my own why. And now I'm bringing this back, and that's, you can hear the passion in my voice. That's feels amazing to actually lean into this and have a voice and give a voice to something that not many people talk about.
It's really, really true. I just saw a study today about how more and more men are actually going to AI because they don't feel comfortable talking about it. You do, and I think that it is important, you're leaning into the emotional side of things. I'm curious. I think that that's exactly what this is. People are, and this is a question though, at what point in their journey are they actually coming? Are they sick and like desperate, or are they just feeling burnout? Like, where are they physically, mentally, emotionally when they arrive to you?
For now, a lot of them are in this place of burnout, or a physical illness has taken them out. And I want to meet people much sooner in the process, right? In this chronic stress before it gets to this point. My prayer and hope is that people don't have to go through the shit that I went through to wake up and actually do things, right? That's why I talk openly about my story, because I want to prevent people from having to go through all the pain. And a lot of it has to do with just realizing, again, what story are you living, or whose story are you actually performing in your own life? So my hope is, and that's really in the here and now, it's a little bit of live TV, no pun intended, since we're on air. But this is really about now finding the people, even, men, women on LinkedIn and or in other professional organizations, to start talking about the chronic stress that we're under, the fact that AI is starting to add other stressors to it. And before people get sick, start to have a realization that, hey, you got to take care of yourself. And that's not just about good food and mental meditation and or exercise. It's really about setting yourself up in environments that are nurturing to you. And that's both at home and at work.
I love that. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I'd want to just look at, and I'm mindful of the time. I think focusing on the speaking is so incredibly important. Your goal would be the academy. And so in looking at the website, I think that there's a lot that we could do to just simplify a lot of it, which is exciting, because what you can always do is you can create the one-pagers to send via email and things like that, because you've got the content, which is so much of the battle. But I love the picture of you on the homepage. I would say even more pictures if you've got them, and your story, really, really, really highlighting that. I see that on the speaker side. But I would even, if you don't have a reel yet, I would record a video you telling your story and post it on your website, and tell it in story form until you've got, or in video form rather, until you've got a really solid speaker reel. I think that the more people can see you and actually feel your energy and honestly feel your emotion behind what you're saying. And I would say, this is what I'm going to talk about. Say the title of your keynote, the 3 points, what they're going to walk away with. All of that is supposed to be in the one pager, but man, I love the video side, Simone. You know, not a lot of people are doing that. So I think that would immediately set you apart. And I would maybe even put that on your homepage, you know, and have that be like right front and center if that's the goal. And I would even say, you know, published author and all your accolades in addition to the logos. The logos are really, really good. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great feedback.
What else? Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely where I need help. I mean, that's just, you know, and you would think this is simple, no pun intended, to simplify your story, right?
Yeah.
But I think that has really been a little bit of my struggle of, like, you know, bringing this out and not get distracted into too many other ways of, you know, I already have visions of where I'm going to take this brand and what else I want to do, but in the here and now, right, telling my story and being you know, I guess succinct in how that comes across in the noise that is you know, around us on the web and everywhere else.
Yeah, I think that with this aspect of like, okay, making the changes on the website, are you active anywhere in particular aside from LinkedIn?
Yeah, you know what? I dabbled a little bit into TikTok. That was more about the book promotion. And I have an Instagram page, but you know what? I'm not a big fan of social media. I have to admit to that. I would love to outsource that. But LinkedIn, I think I have leaned in more because this is the audience that, you know, that I speak to the most.
Good. I love it. I think that there's a lot you could do on LinkedIn. I think creating the videos, I will say I did encourage one of our clients to just start posting more video, both on YouTube and you hook it up to YouTube and LinkedIn, and you can go live on both places. And the more that you're really showing up authentically, people can read through ChatGPT AI created content like the drop of a hat. So I think the more, and y'all, this really is for everybody listening on the brand side, you know, who the questions that we discussed, you know, who is your customer, but getting so clear on that. Where are they coming to you when they arrive on your website? Where are they in their life, in their customer journey, so to say? When we talk about a customer journey, there's the awareness stage where somebody is just realizing that they have a problem. And then there's the consideration stage where they're actively looking for solutions. A lot of people, for example, in Simone's position, do not know that they have a problem until they have a diagnosis. So it's like, boom, boom, they transition immediately out of awareness. So actually, Simone, I would actually say that one of the biggest opportunities for you is to actually bring them into the awareness stage. By the way, this isn't how you should be living. This is not how you should be feeling. You know, even what you're saying about our bodies are in the Stone Age, that's brilliant. I would make a whole framework around that. You know, how are you actually allowing for your body to exist here today, given that it's operating so much on its survival mechanisms? That's an entire framework. That's a book in and of itself. So I think even you taking your book, and have you used Notebook LM much?
I have not. No, I don't know that I know what that is.
It's basically Google's AI. I would, in addition to Gemini, but Notebook LM is like an integration of Google's applications in so many ways, which is amazing. And so therefore you can drop in like your Google Docs and YouTube links and things like that. I would really recommend you using Notebook LM to drop your book into it and really train it according to your book and your principles and your practices. Have it create videos. It can create animated videos really, really well around your content. So you already have the content. You've already done so much. It's just, okay, how do I turn this into 365 days worth of content, posting at least, you know, ideally once or twice a day. But I mean, really, if you were to this is an idea I have for an event someday, I'll do this. But to do like a brand event where it's, okay, who are you? Diving into that. And then who's your audience? What's your brand? And then we're going to create 90 days to 180 days worth of content right here, right now, because it's so much work to think of it, to be like, oh, I've got to create space and time. It's just like so overwhelming. But really it is about taking 4 or 5 hours to just sit down and do it, because we've got content, you've got videos, you've got your book. And so it's just about, okay, how do I harness all of this and leverage it? Notebook LM is one of the best ways to do that, because It is not outsourcing other people's information. It's not going to take your book and add other people to it. It is only referencing your book, which I love. That's huge. I don't know many other AI tools that do that. So it really is exceptional.
Okay. Good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. Just looking through to see if there's anything else. Oh, DJ wrote a book. Cool. It's DJ in the chat. Everyone's been giving you some love and asking questions and things. So I'm really excited about this, Simone, for you. I think that there's so much. I'm wondering if there's any questions that you've got for me before we jump off on the branding side.
Yeah, I think, there's so much I could be doing, right now. And it sounds like simplifying a message and probably revamping the website. So I think I'm a company of one now after, having been, leading large teams. So, what would you say sort of the next 30, 60 days as I'm trying to activate more of my speaking and get more of my message out? And I'm not planning to work again 10, 12 hours. That is not I think. So what will be your recommendation as to the Monday morning quarterback? So, where should I start Monday? What is sort of my most impactful way of spending my time?
That question. There's a couple of approaches, and I have to think about what's the first thing you do on Monday morning. Are you using any, because the thing is you're a team of one, but you also have all these incredible agents at your disposal. So are you using any AI tools right now to help you?
Yeah, I have a few that I use. I mean, I love Claude the most because like, for instance, I had to put in this, I created this energetic capital index assessment that you saw on the website. And I mean, within 5 minutes, it had an HTML code that I could just copy paste into it, which was amazing. So I try to get, things that really help me from a cost and an efficiency perspective. But yeah, I would say probably between, ChatGPT, but less and less ChatGPT. And more in Claude. I have a few others that I use, but I have to say, same as what you just said, right? The danger is that you become too influenced on what the AI thinks. So you have to really go back and come back to my story, right? Because I have, like you said, amazing content, and even getting back sometimes and reading my book again and the draft of the other one. So,
I feel that. I was editing my book last week and I was like, man, I need to read this on like an biannual basis, Okay. I would love to know, and DJ is putting this in the chat. There's a couple of questions that I'm going to give you. What is your message? What's the transformation? I'm going to move you from A to B, A to Z. Like, what's that transformation? I would clarify, I am serving C-suite executives who have been in business for 20, 25 years and are, what stage are they? Are they burning out? Are they wondering how long they're going to go? Are they actually physically ill? So I would get super clear, like identifying who it is and then what's the transformation you bring them through. I think that's probably number one on Monday. That's what I would sit with. I would sit with your message.
Interestingly enough, I have I've spent quite a bit of time on my ICP.
Good.
And I'm coming away from all the ICPs that I thought were going to be my target, and I'm saying the ICP is me. And what I mean by that is I want to reach men and or women on that kind of burnout, kind of that awareness of like, am I living somebody else's story, and how am I feeling at the end of the day? Am I elated and energized, or am I depleted?
Good.
It's me, right? I got to bring it back to why I'm doing this in the first place. And I got to believe amongst millions of people out there, I can't be the only one feeling this way. I've gone through this. So
I think updating your website to say that, add your logos down below, add that to your headline, then shoot your video, and then go create your target folks. Like, and this is a question for you. Is it on a one-to-one basis, or is it going into organizations and working with a group?
I think it's the latter. I was starting on the one-to-one, and it could still be that. But I feel like right now I'm really focused on these keynotes and getting in front of people to get to the right person that actually this message resonates with, right? So it could come back. I'm looking for a couple people in what I would call my founders cohort for the transmutation design. As I said, I have 80% of this book written. That is going to be the new leadership model with this new operating system. What I don't have is the case studies, right? And I would love for people to go, hey, I want to go through 3 months and I want to help you actually put this into work and see what I'm feeling personally as a transformation and what my team is feeling as a transformation. You know, because I think many people are overwhelmed by AI and the impact the employees have. Everybody's stressed out. Is it going to be my job or not? So if I could, you know, like have a sort of a, what do you say, a magic wand, I'd love to have 4 or 5 people that want to come alongside me to test this out and put, you know, kick the tires and actually see this works, this doesn't work, and have these case studies actually coming in, right? Because without that, it's just going to be my opinion of something that I think is going to be important. But out there, so that will be, I would love that. So anybody hears it now or the next couple of days, DM me, contact me. Would love to have you.
I do love the idea. And this is actually, so one of our clients at one point was a psychotherapist and executive performance coach very early on. And I gave him this advice, which was offer to do it at either the biggest discounted price ever or completely for free. Get the case study. One of the very first things that I did was I went to Hyundai executives and did a whole branding pitch about how you can optimize your franchise. I didn't get paid a dime, but I was at Hyundai, getting in front of all these people, and it was such good practice. You know, it was such good practice. It was all the things, all the benefits. So I would even ask Simone, like, with these old companies that you've worked for, who do you know there that you could go back to? And I would also do a quick search. Who are your current competitors? What news outlets are they? And this is AI. So this is putting it into AI. These 5 competitors, you can ask them who your competitors are. Where are they getting featured in the news? What podcasts are they on? And then create the list of the journalists, their contact information, and their news outlets, along with the podcast host names, their emails, and contact information, and then write a pitch for me. And then you have to do the work to shoot the video, but you can ask it to help you create the script. But I would do all of that in the next 2 weeks. Don't take too much time on your website. I would, if you can, reduce the navigation, but put the logos down below, add in the headline. This is who I'm targeting. This is the transformation. And then add the video and then start sending the video out. I think that would be awesome. And then continue posting on LinkedIn. But I think all of that, you know, that we just said, 25, 30 hours over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm really excited about this. And can you do a quick sell of your book for us?
Yeah. So again, this is my personal story. It's my passion project. It's called, here we go, Becoming the Rocket Shaman. You know, if somebody had told me 2 years ago I would write a book, I would have said, you know, you're completely crazy. So it's part memoir, it's part self-help, and it's part ritual. And it's really about encouraging people, reading my story, finding themselves in me, but have some practical tips of what to actually do to get out of this, you know, either chronic illness, emotional pain, burnout. And it's an amazing book. I wrote even a musical companion to it. You find it on the website.
Cool idea. I love that.
Yeah. So, you know, get the album. It's been amazing. You know, anyway, I was a sound engineer in my early days. And so that's been the other piece of it, of infusing the musical companion with healing frequencies as well. So again, book is one that lots of vulnerability in there, but you know, really hoping that people see the authenticity with which I'm showing up and encouraging others to be the same.
I love it. I love that. And, you know, I think that there's something you've got, it's your business card in so many ways. You know, I'm going to speak at your event and I'm going to give everybody a book if you can, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Right. And I mean, you know, just last thing I will say why I'm passionate about it is, you know, I saw a staggering statistics the other day that across Dr. Google and conversational AI, we have close to 1 billion health-related searches a day, 1 billion a day. And
Wow.
about 30 to 40% of those are mystery illnesses, or people don't know what's going on. They've been left behind. This isn't a full frontal assault on Western medicine. I want to be clear on that. But
Mm,
what it does do and what it does show is that people looking for answers because they're not getting them. And
mm,
so what the book is doing, it shows up in a more illogical places as well to say, hey, there's more to this life, more to health than what, mass media is telling you. And there are ways to actually go down, and a lot of it has to do with emotional healing. Again, I go back to this neurological, or not neurological, your nervous system pieces of it. So we have a
yeah.
health crisis on our hands, and so if somebody picks up this book and goes, oh man, like I could actually do something. If you have somebody with a chronic illness in your family, read the book and go, oh, there are some ways and there are some answers, man. And if I have one person that actually comes out of this and is healed and is thriving, mission accomplished.
Mm. I love this. I've heard so many stories. There was a girl, she came on the Knowing podcast, and she was talking about just chronic arthritis, really, really terrible. And she tried everything, all the modern day medicine, and she effectively became addicted to the medication, and then had to just cold turkey because she was like, I can't function like this. But she couldn't pick up her kids. It was just awful. And Simone, she decided to do some inner work.
This is it right here.
She went through this whole process of forgiving her aunt, and her arthritis completely went away, and it's been gone for 10 years. And it was just like, what? But that doesn't sell money. Sell money. I'm really sharp tonight. I've said a couple things tonight, and I'm like, okay. Like I said, the goal of this is branding, and I'm like, well, no, the goal is impact. But anyways, Simone, thank you so much. I know that we went 15 minutes over time, so I'm mindful of that. I'll let you go, but thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, Christine. Thanks for making this possible, and thanks everybody else for pitching in the comments. So
yes, I love it. Well, Simone, I'm going to hang out for another minute or two after you jump. There were a couple of questions that I wanted to get to, but thank you so much. How can people learn more about you? Go to the Rocket Shaman.
therocketshaman.com. That's the entry portal, and yeah, shoot me a note, DM me. I'm here. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, my friend. Look forward to it. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I wanted to get back to some of these questions. Hello, friends. I wanted to get back to Bradley. You were adding some really insightful comments here around just like making career shifts, and I just wanted to focus on that and discuss this with you because, and I wanted to ask him, and I could tell he was looking at the time because we're 15 minutes over. I tell them it's like, I think we reserve an hour, but we get on 15 minutes before to like set everything up and chat and all of that. So I wanted to let him go because we were 15 minutes over. But I would also, I mean, if you want to reach out to him, he's on LinkedIn. And the way that I met him, and we didn't go into this story, I was buying knives off of Facebook Marketplace, and we like met at a coffee shop. He gave me the knives. They're, good deal. And then he was like, oh, you just moved. Like, I have so much stuff. And I left my condo completely furnished. I left my blender there. Like, I left everything. And I was like, why did I leave all of my things? So that was my bad. But I had to completely start from scratch after I moved. And so anyways, he was so kind. He invited my darling and I over, and we like went to the house, and he gave me I'm just looking around my kitchen. He gave me all of my like spoons, stirring spoons, like nice wooden spoons, cutting boards, a rack dryer for the sink, like so many things that he probably saved me a couple $100. And it was just like so generous. And so I wanted to kind of do him a favor in return, and cool guy. So, all that to say, I just wanted to talk to you about your career shifts. I don't know. Are you still here, Bradley? Because I wanted to kind of bring that up for folks. DJ, I loved your questions and your comments throughout. I thought that they were so much that you were saying that was poignant. So I appreciated that. I do think that you and I are not his audience. I don't think you are. But I do think that there's something around what he's saying in terms of what he does that really is true. Like I've seen it, how much actually the power of thought really can bear weight in our lives. But in terms of taking radical responsibility of like being able to heal ourselves, I think it comes not just with thought, it's like what we eat and what we put into our body. So I got that impression that it was so much more holistic, and even like physical activity. Like, are you actually moving around and staying strong and healthy and all of that? So Bradley, okay, so I would love to hear kind of what you're thinking in terms of changing careers and where you're at with all that. So yeah, would love to hear that. Code, good evening. Thanks for hanging out. I like your picture. Well, a couple other things on branding, just as I'm no, I know. Honestly, I know you at this point, DJ, where I'm trusting that that you weren't doing that, and that you just were genuinely being curious. A couple of things on branding, y'all. We need to be so incredibly clear on our product. What are we offering? What is the transformation? Like what, like literally, what is the thing? What is the thing that I'm selling? What is the thing that they're buying? What is the transformation that someone's going to go through? Whether it's a product or a service too, because and understanding, I think that this is actually really important. And I wish I had said this to him. Maybe I'll shoot him a note after, but we need to understand the customer's relationship to the service or the product that we're offering. And I've actually never thought about it this way before, but like, how do they feel about, not just like how do they feel about their lives or where they're at now, but what is their literal emotional relationship to the product? Because if we don't understand that, and I saw DJ, you said men and women buy differently. In so many ways, yes. However, Harvard did produce a study that found that 95% of our purchase decisions take place in the subconscious, which is where our emotions live. So there's a lot subconsciously that's motivating and propelling us forward than we realize. There's the intellectual part that's like vetting for authority and vetting, looking at reviews and all of that. But even then, I'm emotionally compelled towards certain reviews than others, or even like, why do I care about reviews? You know, it's not because I'm, there's a logical component, but then emotionally, I have a value system that I'm judging by. Will I take someone else's recommendation, or will I judge by reviews, or will I actually go in and talk with them and be willing to go through that whole vetting process before I make my decision? There's so much that colors and adds to someone's purchase decision, and so much of it is layered in both the IQ and EQ. Okay, so Bradley says, I would like to get into a corporate type role. I think it's really, I'd love to know, Bradley, you know, you've got your background in, sorry, I just had an idea and I was trying to think if I could pull this off with you. I was like, you should come on now, but I don't really know how to do this with ease. But I actually would love, for those of you, I still need to actually plan out how we're going to do the community. I do want to launch this in the next week or two, but I would love, y'all, if we did roundtables, if like we all got on once a week and we all had our cameras on and chatted and talked about business and talked about life and love and just everything. So I would love to be able to do that with you guys, to see you, to get to know you, to talk real time and like literally have these discussions. Because Bradley, there's like a whole slew of questions I have for you in terms of your skill set and your experience and even your own passion. You know, what a blessing. I think one of the biggest blessings in the world is when we can find a career and find a profession that is in alignment with our passion. You know, that's such a blessing. And we are also erring on the side of entering a new world where I think we really don't know what to expect given what is happening with technology. So if there is a skill set that, you know, in this transition of moving away from truck driving, I would listen as much as possible while you're driving to videos on AI. Like, what's going on? I would learn. I mean, people have to stop talking about Web3, but I think that I'm actually going to start doing a lot more study of Web3. I'm also going to be doing a lot more study of quantum physics. So those are the things that I'm going to start listening to and studying. So Bradley, it's almost like, how can you really alchemize this time that you're driving? You've got the luxury of time. You're getting paid to potentially learn an entirely new career, an entirely new skill set. So I would say, really delving into like the core tenets of like what is next in terms of a skill level development, and then what's next in terms of your own internal, who do you need to become emotionally, mentally, spiritually to be the leader to then execute on those things that you're learning. So I would find people who are effectively living in accordance with some semblance of career that you'd like to have. Have they written books? How do they live? What are they learning about? My darling always talks about the Peter Diamandis podcast for AI specifically. And I was just on the hunt yesterday for videos and education around the blockchain. I dove into that a while ago, but I haven't touched it in a while. And I actually had this guy, Adrian, such a cool guy. He came on the Knowing Show back in autumn. And let me see if I can find that. But he actually gave me good reason to pique my interest around AI again. Adrian Knowing Show. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find him. Hold on one second. I'm going to try to find this and then drop it here. All right, I'll look and then I'll drop it in the comments after this video once we hang up. Bradley, my passion is serving the Lord. What about being a pastor? Could you do that? Why not? Truly. And DJ, I completely agree. I'm thinking about, Bradley said it sounds like you want something not as physically intensive, but I completely agree around blue collar. Bradley, what could be interesting is if you have an operating type of skill set to be able to then be able to go and do. What I would say is if you know people who have money, they could be the financial backing. You could go in and run the business and they could acquire a blue collar business. There's a lot of companies that are going under that don't have family members to hand the business down to. DJ, I'm going to put this in the chat. Nice to meet you. I actually would love, be right back, phone call from kids. I love that. I actually would love, I know that we're a small group tonight. Y'all, it's so funny. We're a small group because I'm on this desktop orientation. I wanted to be able to share my screen. It's wild how much it changes when I go vertical. I would love to know. So I know not everybody here is on the same thread. I'm live on Christine Marie and on the Knowing podcast. I was going to switch everything over to the Christine Marie _knowing because my team runs the Knowing podcast and I just didn't want to convolute my lives with that channel. But then I felt very strange being like, oh, come and join the Knowing Show at Christine Marie. I'm like, that's strange. So, and there's a lot more followers, not even followers. There's a lot more people that join the daily shows from the Knowing podcast, but I feel like honestly, DJ, and this is where I don't know where everyone's coming from. But DJ, when I replied to you, I was like, oh, I'm on the Knowing podcast because I can't see who's commenting from which channel. So as I'm doing this Knowing community, if you guys are up for it, I would really appreciate getting y'all's feedback and your ideas. I need to do an analytics analysis of both channels and really see Christine Marie _knowing. I didn't even intend to grow that. It just got hooked up when I started going live and I just started having videos come out and then it just grew fast, but it doesn't seem as engaged as the Knowing podcast. So I kind of want to stop going live in both places so that everyone can be in the same chat because I don't like it being all separated. Bank Top, hello. I'm so glad you're here. So I would love to hear from you guys. What I don't know, like, do you guys have a thought? I guess I'm just like, help. I don't know which channel to continue going live on. So I would love to hear if you guys have any. DJ, you have very strong opinions and questions, and I'd love. He says, I stumbled upon you. Well, exactly. But I always have two concurrent streams. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know. I'm just wondering where you guys think. I feel like the name Christine Marie _knowing, I should just change that because it's to maybe the Knowing Show. Maybe that's what I do. I'm computer challenged. So maybe that's what I'll do. We'll have the Knowing podcast or just the Knowing channel. And then but I feel like we need to have it in one place. What do you guys think? I guess I'll just answer my own questions. Unless I would love your feedback. If you guys have feedback for me, please, please, please give it. I would be down to do a one-on-one video call with you. Code 001. I would be so grateful for feedback. I had a friend who offered to give feedback, and I haven't heard from them in a while. So but code 001, have you been watching the show? I don't feel like I don't recognize your name, but maybe you've been here and I'm sorry. Yeah, so DJ, I've got 2 channels by mistake. Knowing Podcast and Christene Marie _knowing. So I had stopped going live in the evenings on the Knowing Podcast because I wanted to orient the traffic over there and like only go live on one platform so we could all be in the same chat. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't like saying, go follow me on Christene Marie. I don't know. I don't like my name being the brand. So I'd have to change that. But I think, the Knowing Podcast, oh, well, I'm being selfish right now talking about this. Bradley says, I'm a great chef. Oh my gosh. Could you do in-home chef, like private chef? Also, where are you, Bradley? Where do you live? Because we need a chef in Austin next week. Just saying. Are you actually a certified chef? What? DJ says, are you AI? Are you kidding me? I watched you, Code says. I would love feedback. So anything you have to say in that regard. But Bradley, what do you think about that? What do you think about doing a private chef service? You could do it on a weekend, host a dinner party for your friends and say, I'm curious about doing this. Everybody pays, $25, $30 to cover costs. And then you host a dinner party, do your services and then say like, hey guys, do you guys think that this is viable? Would you help me? I love that. I love that idea. DJ, I was so worried. I'm not good with jokes. I'm sorry. And over text or messaging, it's hard to read a bit. And now I watch you when I see you online. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad. I would love any feedback. I don't know how to say your handle. I'm new to your channel and I find it really interesting. Good. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. We've been talking about a lot of things. We were talking about branding. We had a guest on earlier, Simone. We're talking about his book and his website. And then we started talking about Bradley and his potential career change. How can we connect and pick each other's brains? Okay, so let's do this. I am going to commit to this, y'all. Next Friday is a full day. Okay, the week of the 6th, my goal will be to have the Knowing community up and running where we can figure out how to have you guys join me live. And then we'll have live conversations. DJ, I think there's something for me to learn from every single human. I'll just say that. Every single person. I like the whole community roundtable idea. Me too. I really, really like that, Bradley. And then we can help each other. So that will be my commitment. I like having a deadline. My commitment is the week of April 6th. Let me see which date I don't have a guest. All right. Well, and I have to fly. So Adrian. Oh dear. Life is busy. Maybe we do it. No, Wednesday is trivia. Let's do it Thursday. Thursday the 9th. Okay. All right, Thursday the 9th, y'all. I'm blocking off my calendar. I'm going to say Knowing Show Roundtable. Okay. And I am going to invite my team. Okay, cool. Knowing show roundtable. Ready? This is going to be fun. I'm going to figure all this out in the next 2 weeks. I've got a lot of deadlines in the next 3 weeks across many levels of analysis. So God bless me. All right, April 9th. Y'all, let's do this. We'll talk business. We'll talk strategy. Bradley, we'll go ahead and DJ, I kind of like, honestly, this has been fun. I'm with you. I've really enjoyed, it's fun when there's a lot of people, and I really like the intimacy of this. Frankly, that's why I like being in person, because then you can still have the chat going, but then because the goal isn't that we're getting trolls by any means. I'd so much rather have meaningful conversation and connection. That's really the goal. Sounds like a hit. Yay. All right. So Bradley, I'm going to give you homework if you're up for this. You don't have to do it. I would love if you were to dig into really going back to you as a kid and like, what did you love doing and what do you love now? Because there is something around finding that spark. Not that we get, I don't know. I don't want to self-limit and say, only some people get the privilege of doing a job that they love. I think that somehow there's that for everybody if we kind of figure it out, but it takes work to find it. So Bradley, I would love if you did the work to kind of return to those core pieces and moments that just really were joy inducing for you. And also, who right now, is there anyone right now that has the leadership tenets that you really, really respect and is doing, the skills that you'd be really inclined to learn or to adopt or to put into practice? And if you've got time over the next 2 weeks before April 9th, give it a shot to listen to some Peter Diamandis on AI. And also something around Web3. I'll look for right after this. I'll go ahead and look for that conversation I had with Adrian back in the fall around Web3. So let me actually write that down because I don't want to forget. Adrian podcast. Okay. Yesterday was the first time I ever watched a live from anyone, and God put you the first in my queue. I love that. Look at that. Look at what happens. This is cool. Code says, can I see your outfit? Look, I'm wearing this beautiful fuzzy sweater. I feel kind of weird standing up, but it's my beautiful sweater. Bring back apprentices. DJ, you freaking will not believe yesterday they were talking about apprenticeships in this world of AI. So you're right on the money. I love that. Cool. Awesome. And that's a positive attitude to have. Can you tell me I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your handle, and I like being able to address you. Code, how young are you? It's a very personal question. You can guess. If you read if and screw tape letters, I was listening to, no, I actually didn't save if on my list. Hold on. I'm putting that down. I have been reading Case for Christ, and I got distracted by that while I was pulling up screw tape letters. So I'm sorry, but I'm writing that down, both of them, because I want to be a woman of my word. I'll listen to it in the gym tomorrow. Thank you, Bradley. Honestly, you too. Guys, it really is so meaningful to have these conversations. So I'm really grateful. All right. Have a wonderful night. We are going to join again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. And I'll see you then. Thank you guys for hanging out. And April 9th will be the first day that we do our roundtable. No, I want to, DJ. I said I would. So I'm like, I got to do it. That's code. All right, let's go ahead and hop off. Have a wonderful evening, my friends. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern as we go through. Oh, wait, no, I did. DJ, I did read that. I thought you were reading a book. Yes, I read that poem. That was stunning. Okay, wait. You can read it now. I am actually going to do that. Poem by Root. I'm not going to say his name right. I remember reading this. I'm so grateful you reminded me. Ugh. Okay, y'all, I'm I'm going to read this. Okay. I just love this. I'm so grateful you reminded me. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, but if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, word, or be lied about and don't deal in lies, or be hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and loss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. I'm so grateful that you shared this. That is so incredibly beautiful. I read this when you recommended it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to bookmark this because this is so good. Y'all, it really is. It's so much of it is like this delicate dance of the beautiful connective tissue of and, not being black or white, but both, allowing for gray and not leaning too heavily in one direction or another. So thank you. All right, y'all, have a wonderful night. Do you have a link for the AI podcast? Let me try to find that. I will drop it in the comments after this. I'll pull up Peter Diamanda's. Oh, here we go. Here's his channel. It's got 425,000 subscribers. What a man. I know, Bradley says that's an awesome passage. All right, here's this. That's Peter Diamanda's. And then we've got, I'll have to go find Adrian's podcast with me. It was a little while ago. So, all right, y'all. Thank you for hanging out tonight. I will see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye. Oh, Bradley, I'm sorry. You said something's going on with the chat. I'm not seeing anything but mine. It's because other people are on the Knowing podcast. That's what I was talking about. I'm like, which channel do I shut off? Do I shut off Christine Marie or do I shut off the Knowing podcast? And so that's what I've been trying to figure out because it is confusing. I can see the full chat with everybody. We're working on it. I'm going to have to make my decision in the next couple weeks. So anyways, good night, my friends. I will